World of Tomorrow is awesome. It's one of Don Hertzfeld's best films, since I'm so proud of you. At this point, calling a Don Hertzfeld project amazing is like stating the obvious, because he's had a pretty much perfect track record for the past 20 years, and this film is probably one of his best. Wolves of Tomorrow is about a little girl named Emily, who's visited by an older version of herself from far in the future. In this future, when people grow old, they implant their memories in a younger clone of themselves so that they can live forever. Older Emily is played by famous animator Julia Pott, and younger Emily, also referred to as Emily Prime, is played by Don's niece. Emily takes Emily Prime through the dystopian future in which she lives, but Emily Prime, being only like 3, doesn't really understand what she's talking about, and is just bubbly and happy, and only half paying attention to what her older self is saying.
A rainbow.
The relationship between these two is one of the best things about this film. Emily will tell her something terribly depressing about mankind's demise, and Emily Prime will respond by talking about her toys and stuff.
Yes, I always like robots. I have a
Pairing a stoic, world-weary deadpan woman with a happy 3-year-old girl that doesn't have any idea what she's saying is brilliant, because within the space of a minute you can depress your audience and then make them laugh. This is a perfect example of a role that could only be played by a child. If a middle-aged woman were playing this part, this would be nowhere near as funny.
What a happy day it is!
The hilarious dynamic between these characters is just another example of Don Hertzfeld's mastery in the medium of dark comedy.
Their dead bodies burn as they return to Earth and now light up our night sky.
What's this up in the sky?
Dead bodies.
Look, another one.
Yes, it is very pretty.
It's visually one of the most beautiful glitter films. If you have the chance to see it in a theater, you definitely should, because it's absolutely gorgeous. I saw it at Sundance when it was being shown as part of their shorts program, and of course it was totally the best one. The rest of them were okay. There was this one about a single mom who wanted to get laid that was pretty funny, but as far as which one was the best, there was no competition. Wolves of Tomorrow is a total masterpiece, which is probably why they showed it last.
That is the thing about the present, Emily Prime. You only appreciate it when it is the past.
It's especially impressive how good it is knowing that Don just made it on his downtime while working on other things. This is the first fully digital Dare film and takes full advantage of the technology, jumping between lots of different aesthetics and visual styles. Sometimes things will have a kind of clunky transition between analog and digital because they're still figuring out the technology, but here it works perfectly. However, since this film is digital, there aren't any fancy glowy effects or trick photography like you saw in his earlier films, but that's okay. This is Don's second, I think, venture into science fiction, the first being Meaning of Life, I think. Though interestingly enough, when he came out to answer questions after the screening, he acted like this was his first science fiction movie. Maybe he just forgot. I mean, that was a decade ago. Exactly. Huh. But maybe he also just didn't want to talk about it. I heard he didn't really have very much fun working on that because of how long it took. Aesthetically, the world of this film is fairly identical to the future world that he used in his Simpsons couch gag, which made the experience of seeing World of Tomorrow a little bit less unique if you'd seen the couch gag beforehand, which I had. I understand that the idea of doing couch gags by famous artists is to combine styles and make references to their previous films, but since no one had seen or even knew about World of Tomorrow yet when it aired, it's a little odd to make references to it. Maybe Don originally didn't know the couch gag would be on the season premiere and just assumed it would be later on in the season, but Fox shuffled around the episodes like they always do. World of Tomorrow has a lot of interesting references to his earlier work, which is really fascinating if you're a big fan of his like I am. Because if you look closely enough, you can see that there's more history to the world of this film than what is on the surface.
We can go visit them together, like seeing pictures in a book.
The most obvious reference is when he reuses the boy in the tube concept he used in his End of the World book. This sequence in the film is really cool, because he fully animates the images from the book, which was something I really wanted to see when I was reading it. But what's interesting is that both Emily in the film and the unnamed woman in the book say the phrase,
I can still remember its eyes. Its blinking eyes.
Eyes.
Out of curiosity, I looked back to that segment in the book to see if the person saying that was Emily from the film, and surprisingly it was. If you compare the way she looked on the moon, it's the same person. Emily also talks about extracting memories from a human mind, which is a concept mentioned on the bookmark that came with the End of the World.
For many years, memories could only be harvested from the dead. The images were fished out blindly from random clusters of neurons and looked like this.
The bookmark also mentions that something will be colliding with the Earth in 40 years, which could possibly be referring to the meteor at the end of World of Tomorrow.
In 60 days from now, a meteor will strike the Earth, and most everyone here will die horribly.
And, lastly, both refer specifically to people burying the dead bodies of world leaders beneath the Earth.
They are rumored to be burying the clones of world leaders beneath the Earth.